Turning now to Franco Ordonez. He's the White House correspondent for McClatchy Newspapers and the co-host of McClatchy's Majority Minority podcast. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me on.
If President Trump really did disclose highly classified intelligence report, and the Washington Post stands behind its reporting, does his national security team also bear responsibility?
You know, I think it's a good question. You know, there are experts who are saying that, you know, the national security advisors should have stepped in. That's what they're in the room for. They should have let the president know that, hey, this is a kind of thing that we're not supposed to be talking about. But let's also remember, it's the president of the United States. He's the one who bears the ultimate responsibility. Not disclosing classified information is pretty much at the top of the list of things that you don't do. And also, as been pointed out before, there is a comfort factor here. This is a president who expects loyalty. Did those advisors feel comfortable challenging the president? And is the environment is there an environment that you can challenge the president on such sensitive issues? And that's a big question that we'll continue to ask.
You know, we have not heard a reaction from many top Republicans, but we did hear from Senator Bob Corker. What he said was that the White House was in a downward spiral. We've been talking about the possibility of a major staff shakeup. Do you think the situation may accelerate that process?
It's certainly possible. You know, there's no question that the White House right now is in a bit of chaos. I mean, it's kind of like 24-hour crisis mode. I can't even imagine what's going on in there. You have a situation where last night, after this news broke, you had staffers yelling at each other, other staffers turning up TVs so us reporters can't hear what's actually being said. It's a bit of a really distracting environment in there. I don't know how they're going to tackle it. Then you have today that the President of the United States is kind of undermining some of the things that his leaders, his leading cabinet leaders were saying. It's going to be an interesting press briefing at 1 o'clock. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, to say the least. I mean, McMaster came out and said, hey, this conversation never happened, and then, you know, a few tweets later, and the president is complaining about leaks.
Well, so and that's what I think is interesting, Franco. The president is tweeting that he has the absolute right to do what it is being reported that he did, which ultimately, for a lot of people, they're inferring that that means that he's confirming the story,
right?
Because you wouldn't need the qualifier,
right,
if you were just talking about in generalities facts related to terrorism and counterterrorism.
And there wouldn't be a problem with leaks if nothing was leaked.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, sure. I mean, yes, he has the right. He's the president of the United States. If he reveals this information, it is no longer classified information. That'd be different if it was someone else. But let's remember, this wasn't our information to share. This was information taken from another country who reportedly has been very concerned about how this administration handles information. And these concerns are not new. I mean, back in January, there are many European leaders who are expressing concerns about this administration, about whether they could be trusted. And there were several talking about, hey, we may have to cut things off if our intelligence is not handled appropriately. So this is going to be really an interesting first foreign visit. Trump is going to go sit in multilateral settings with many of these same leaders at NATO, at the G7 conference, meeting with EU. There's at least 3, I think maybe 4 multilateral meetings very much coming up. And this is going to be a fascinating week and probably an uncomfortable one for this administration.
Yeah, really.
Absolutely.
Well, the Democrats have also, and also some Republicans, as we mentioned on the Hill, have expressed concern about this alleged sharing of classified intel. What sort of action might we expect to see from them? Because at this point, we're not seeing.
Mum's the word.
Yeah, exactly. From both sides, really.
Well, let's take a close look at that, because the mum's the word on the Republican side is extremely revealing. I mean, Republicans have to take a calculation of how much they're willing to speak out. Do they stick their neck out and defend this situation? They understand the circumstances involved of sharing classified information. Paul Ryan was pretty muted in his response. Bob Corker, you guys pointed out, raised serious concerns. A few other Republicans raised concerns, but they've been very quiet. And I think this is a serious wait-and-see mode, because otherwise they would be speaking out in defense of their president. So, you know, the silence is actually extremely loud in my opinion.
And Franco, let's just remind our viewers, that meeting that the President of the United States held in the Oval Office with the foreign minister and the ambassador, the Russian ambassador, the White House press corps, the American White House press corps was not allowed in that meeting. Had you been in the Oval Office and the president had suggested and made claims or said the things that he's being alleged to have said, you would have immediately known what he was talking about. And I just wonder what that message sends when you are not allowed to attend the press briefing or the meetings that the president is conducting in the Oval Office.
Well, it's true. I mean, we have, you know, there's a reason why the press corps is there. As you point out, this was a meeting with Russian leaders. The only individuals that were there were someone from the Russian photographer, Russian reporter, and supposedly a administration photographer. This is why you need independent, objective journalists in the room to address these kind of issues and to point these out immediately. Otherwise, that's the only way that to get some of this information is kind of the digging that the Washington Post, give them great credit for the work that they did, comes out. Because, you know, this may not have come out, and this is the kind of information that it's important for the public to know, it's important for our allies to know, and it's important to, keep tabs on these kind of things.
Right. Franco Ordonez, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.